There we go, live. Welcome back to the EU Legends Wayback Machine because I hate Brennan. Episode 24, the first episode of 2026. We've been doing this for like a solid year now. Pretty crazy. And we've only now reached Empire Strikes Back. Incredible. Where we try to read the entire EU in publication order. Fun. But as we discussed before we started this, unlike A New Hope, the audio drama, essentially the same thing. The comic, as we're showing here, essentially the same thing. And the novel, essentially the same thing with little to no real difference. So we're mainly just talking about the film here. Everything else, at least on my end, I'll say, audio drama, it was okay. It's just the movie. The comic, it was okay. It was just the movie. And the book I didn't read, but I'm pretty sure it was just the movie. Oh, key difference. Yoda is blue. So if that's something you just have to know, you could definitely read the book if you felt so inclined.
Yep. There's a couple of differences.
We're just going to have this the comic here for, to give us some visual aids. We're not going to focus on this too much.
Yes. Right. Love the shirt. Yes, you can get it. You can get it for 40% off at Hot Topic now. So if you're interested,
you look like Brian Drummond.
I don't know who that is.
I'll have to Google it now.
I'm extremely uneducated.
Brian.
There's also a Ewok shirt that Brennan showed off that's available at Macy's. There's a lot of EU swag for sale now. I don't know if there's been a resurgence in people wanting droids and Ewok shirts.
I do want both of those, actually.
I don't really see it at all, actually. But
see what?
I guess. Oh, hold on. There you go. I don't really see it.
Oh.
But maybe a little bit from like a side profile, but not really. If you look them face up. All right, I'm gonna remove this now. Put this back on.
I think it's the hair. I think I need to get a haircut.
I wonder if Droids and Ewoks being now available on Disney Plus and therefore much more readily accessible means that more people are aware of it now, and that might possibly have caused.
It's probably just 80s nostalgia. There's a lot of that.
That's true.
Love friggin' 80s. Stranger Things, that just ended, right? That's over now? The Plague?
It's done. It's over forever. Unless they make spin-offs or whatever else they do. But that is just 80s nostalgia entrenched in a show. So
they're almost definitely going to do a spin-off.
Yeah. But as for like the actual show, it's done.
Yes.
They've been on Disney Plus for a couple years now too, so it's not a new thing.
Yeah. Plus, like, no kid's gonna watch it unless their parent is making them watch it.
Kids might, if they've seen all the shows, they might want to see more cartoons.
They see the cute Ewoks and they go, Goo Goo Gaga Ewok. I watched that.
Yeah. True.
Although I heard the intro song isn't on there for droids or Ewoks.
Why?
That's ridiculous.
That's what I've heard. I don't know how you could show that without the.
That's like the best part of, especially droids. The droids opening song is like, that's awesome.
It's a banger.
I didn't skip that intro because it's just really good.
Agreed.
Anyway,
yes.
Empire Strikes Back.
Great movie.
The one everyone loves.
Well, I guess we should start there. What do we think of this film, gentlemen?
So who goes first? No, Robert, you go first.
Robert?
Yeah, Robert. Yeah.
So this was actually my first time rewatching it for many years, in fact. And yes, it's really good. And it still looks amazing. I mean, I wouldn't know where to begin to make something like this now, let alone in 1980.
40, coming up on 46 years ago.
Yeah. Time flies. Remember that was only 20 years old, at least when I was growing up.
Yeah, I do.
Now it's 40.
That is something that I always like to bring up when we talk about Empire and we talk about Jedi. Empire looks really crisp and clean and beautiful, and then Jedi looks like a TV movie.
Yeah.
Like a really bad TV movie, like Friday the 13th, but less budget.
Do you think that's because a lot of Return of the Jedi was shot in the dark with Jabba's palace and a lot of the night scenes on Endor, whereas The Empire Strikes Back, it's a lot clearer because you have a white background in the daytime? It's easier for a camera to pick that up.
I think that's probably part of it. I need to see like who the cinematographer was on each. I will admit my complete lack of knowledge. I don't know anything about cinematography, but I just do. Every time I watch Return of the Jedi, I'm struck by like, ooh, this looks a little cheap. This looks weirdly bad in comparison to the previous film.
Because when I think of the good scenes in Return of the Jedi, I mean, obviously you have the Death Star scene kind of in the dark with the space backdrop, but the best scenes in terms of cinematography are the battle on the skiffs on Tatooine, where they go to the Sarlacc pit.
To give a specific example, I do think you're right that it is a lot of the darker scenes you see like the quality dip specifically.
Yeah.
So like the scene where where C-3PO is telling the story of Star Wars, that scene looks like it was shot on VHS. That like specifically looks bad. I think the daytime scenes actually look decent, like especially the Endor scenes shot in the day. At least like when they first meet the Ewoks, that looks pretty good. And then the desert outside, that was good. But yeah, anyway, that's getting on. We can revisit this topic in a year, however long it takes us to return the Jedi.
Not a year to get to Return of the Jedi.
But that just so I don't like just go off of vagaries. Those are the moments I'm thinking of. Jabba's palace, the scene where they're telling the story. Those look a little bit bad to me. Whereas Empire looks pretty excellent just throughout the whole thing, and it is a really good movie too. So
it seems like everything was firing on all cylinders, because you can, a lot of people praise A New Hope, but I think there's also a lot of things objectively that you can look at that are maybe not perfect in that first one, just in terms of the filmmaking side of it. I'm not even talking about like the story or anything, though I definitely think it was increased and improved with Empire Strikes Back, which also may be due to the fact that Lee Brackett, I think it was Lee Brackett that did the screenplay for this one.
Yes.
But from the cinematography to the acting to the screenplay, I think everything just kind of just lightning in a bottle. Everything just kind of coalesced.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's
I think I'm using the right word. Yeah. They all came together to just fire on all cylinders for this film. So,
what about you, Scott?
I don't know.
I agree. I think Empire is good for a number of reasons, but the main reason I think is you have a lot of new planets, a lot of new vehicles, a lot of new characters. Like you get Yoda, you get Hoth, you get the AT-ATs, you get Lando, you get Cloud City, the space slug. Everything's kind of new. They don't really rehash anything, like, because when you get to Return of the Jedi, you see the Death Star again, they're on Tatooine again. It's kind of repetitive, but everything in Empire is new. It's brand new. It's interesting to me, and they make the most of all the scenes. There's not really a lot of filler. I would say the slowest part is probably Luke's training on Dagobah, but that's interesting the first time you see it, because you want to know like how Jedi trains, in the Force, and how he's able to manipulate the rocks and it gets stronger with a lightsaber and that sort of thing. Now you sort of take it for granted, and it's a little bit slower. Maybe some of the scenes on Hoth too. I would say if there's a criticism some of the dialogue between Princess Leia and Han Solo in the corridor in Echo Base there is not very good. Funny enough, it's actually better in the comic book, I think, and maybe the audio drama and the novelization. Some of the scenes, I don't think they took the best take of their acting in some of those hallway scenes there.
You could use a good kiss.
Yeah,
I love.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
What I think is a little bizarre. It just like, I mean, they were extras; they weren't required to do so, but I did find it a little jarring because I guess because I've seen the movie enough times, I was looking at the extras instead of Han and Leia in the hallway, and all of them, not a single one, makes like a little like look or a little eyebrow raise or anything as they're having this argument in the middle of the hallway. They just keep walking past.
So many people pass by them like purposefully. Like it's almost like, okay, you guys like staged this, right? Everybody's walking past arbitrarily.
Maybe this is like the 12th time this week this has happened, and people are just trying not to make
probably with those two.
Don't give them any attention. You just feed into the egos.
Speaking of which, of the Hoth, you know, I'm excited because I get to add to my counter. Leia kisses Luke again, guy.
Yeah.
And it's not like a little one.
It's a longer one.
It's like just, hey, you get out of there. That's not for you.
I mean, it had to be. It had to be. Luke went like this.
Ooh, don't. He shouldn't be doing that move. I don't like that move. In the context of just kissing his sister, specifically. That's a bad move.
I can't see what you're doing, Alex, but I can guess.
He's doing the move. You know what it is. Yeah. But
listen, Game of Thrones it's a normal everyday occurrence. So you know.
Yeah, well, we don't hold ourselves to those standards.
No. We're above such things. We're above the Lannisters.
Yeah, we're all about Yoda and Salacious B. Crumb and other puppets that have fun names.
Yes.
With middle initials.
The Han and Leia stuff, this being 1980, some of that has, I don't want to say that all of it hasn't. So when I say it hasn't aged well, that feels a bit too harsh. So what would be a better way to put it?
Well, I don't know if
the banter is just like old timey a little bit.
It is pretty old timey.
It's
in that way. If you mean like the behavior, like it is a little toxic, I suppose I'd say. But when it comes to Han and Leia, I think the chemistry works, and I think it's important to remember that. Well, Han, he has less of an excuse because he's definitely either my age or supposed to be my age or a little bit older at this point. But Leia and Luke are like 18. No, it's been 3 years, so they're like 20, 21 here. Okay, but even still,
Han is like 27 in the first movie, so he's probably 30 in the second movie.
Yeah, he's probably about 30 now. So there's less of an excuse for him to be acting like this. But Leia makes sense why she's just not being honest about her feelings and is being like, no, it's not about me wanting you to stay. It's you know, she says that, but it's very clear through her eyes and her performance that it's not just, oh, you're very useful to the Alliance. Like, yes, but you do want him to stay because you do like him.
So,
I will say that I discussed this very thing with a good friend of mine who is heavily into not just like feminist literature, but into romance specifically. And I discussed this with her, and I was like, is this weird? And she said, no, but it is old timing, basically. That was the gist of her verdict. Yeah. And I only showed these movies to her like 3 years ago. So it's not like a nostalgia thing. So just fresh eyes.
Yes, I think you see that with the Han and Leia scenes from before they get to Cloud City, and also some of the Lando scenes after they get to Cloud City.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that being said, that scene in the on the base on Hoth, I like what's going on there. You know, where there's that sort of awkward moment where neither of them are quite sure what to say, and Han says, "Well, I'm going to be leaving soon," and she sort of goes, "Yep, okay," and he sort of takes offense at that and goes, "Oh, you don't care? Okay, fine. I'm just going to leave then."
He starts running off. Yeah.
This is kind of an aside, but I that reminded me. This movie has the worst piece of Star Wars dialogue ever, and it drives me insane every time I watch the movie. And it is the smallest, dumbest little thing ever. But every time I'm just like, shut up. And it's when they're on top of the Falcon and Chewie's fixing something, and Han just points into the gaping hole in the Falcon and goes, "This one goes there, that one goes there." Fuck you. What does that mean? What are you pointing to? I hate that line so much. It's so dumb. This one goes there, that one. What's this? What's that? You couldn't come up with a stupid Star Trek-y technobabble name? You couldn't go, this plug goes there?
Only Star Trek is technobabble.
George was like, "Harrison, I need you to be more angry," and he just overdoes it a little bit. He doesn't need to be yelling at that point.
No.
He's like the Shatner of Star Wars. Harrison Ford.
That's a little bit harsh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's
no one deserves to be called the Shatner of anything.
Except for Shatner.
This one goes there. That one goes there.
Well, actually, I love it. You know, honestly,
I also love good Bill Shatner.
It's such
but
you either vibe with it or you don't. That's a whole separate franchise.
That's also later. That's later on. That's like in the movies. Like in the show, he doesn't really do that, but yeah, in the movie, "I have had enough of you," and it kicks him into the green screen. That's awesome. Anyway, we're getting we got to pull the emergency brake.
Wait for 2040 when I do my Star Trek movie review.
we gotta get back into this.
So,
the relationship between Han and Leia is probably one of my favorite parts of this movie. They are kind of the quintessential romance that I think may not be the healthiest thing as an adult, but it's definitely one of the fermenting things. Yeah, not at first. One of the most fermenting things I think in my childhood was probably that. And I guess Harrison Ford just takes when he did Indiana Jones, which I was forced to watch as a child. I mean, I love it now, but I was forced to watch it as a child. I don't think there's a single romance in there. You have Raiders of the Lost Ark, sure, with I forget her name now because I'm a terrible fan, Mariam. But it was never. I don't know. It always felt kind of misogynistic to an extent. It felt like the 1940s James Bond who has to have a girlfriend in every movie. But the difference is, I mean, Indiana Jones is also like, he's not just a jerk. But it's very much a front he puts up to, which is the same thing that Han does.
Wasn't Marion also a student of his?
I think that's in the extended material. I don't think that's in the movie itself. So I'm not.
Well, she mentions that she was just a child, but I don't know what that that's not very specific.
Means. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway. We're going to not talk about that. Doesn't help the matter either.
We're getting back.
That does not help his situation. But with
I also like the romance between Han and Leia. I think it has a nice build-up over the course of the movie, and I think it has a great payoff in Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I also think
it set the stage for Return of the Jedi.
I like the character development for both of them in this film. They start off with Leia pretending she doesn't feel the way she does, and Han sort of putting on a sort of act of his own,
which is very clearly an act. It's another thing to forget just Han and Leia for a second. I mean, we've been going through the expanded universe, so we have seen maybe not the best stories, but we've been seeing all three of them interact and go on adventures together. But as far as this film's concerned, you know, if people weren't reading those comics, this is the first time they've seen them since the last movie. And, you
they
know,
don't know how much they've been making now.
Yeah. They don't explicitly say it's been 3 years, but it's been 3 years since the last film. But so, like, when Luke doesn't return to base, like, Han immediately is like, "Well, my friend's out there, so I'm going out there, and then you can, you know, whatever, go to hell, you know, I'll see you in hell." And it's
Leia's
that
very
little
concerned
thing.
because she wants to make out with him.
Yeah. But
The weirdest part about that is, like, after Han saves Luke and they get rescued and go back to base, there's that scene between Han, Leia, and Luke where Leia kisses Luke and Han gets jealous about it. And then when they're about to go fight against the walkers, Han's gonna skip out on him because he's gonna pay off Jabba or whatever. And Luke, you know, it does his duty and defends the rebels there in their escape. And then Han just has a look. There's a scene where Han just looks at Luke after he goes off, and he's like, you get the sense that he's angry at him.
Yes.
For what happened, or jealous maybe, right?
Yeah.
So
things are a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
But the love is still there, because, like, even, you know, when he's clearly jealous of Luke in that moment after his sister kisses him, just gotta remind everybody that's funny. But, you know, Han could be angry or do numerous things, but he just goes like, "Get better, feel better," you know, and then walks off, you know. So it's like really awkward, but he's not like gonna be a jerk to Luke, because Luke didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't his fault. She came to him. So, but I appreciate it's very subtle. It's not like super in your face, but like Han has definitely grown with Luke, and it's not just like, oh, I like this girl, so I'm sticking around. Like, he has a separate friendship with Luke, and I think the EU only enhances that later, where it's like, well, not only I'm not just married to your sister, it's like we are brothers regardless of that. And I think you see that several times in the EU. Like, we're not just, you know, brothers because I married your sisters. Like, it's more than that. You know, like we have this bond as well. And I definitely don't feel the EU or the films focus on that enough. But when they do, I think it's really sweet. The friendship that they do have. Actually, one last thing, and I'll bring this up again when we get to the AC Crispin books. But when I was doing my chronological go through, I remember the kid that pops up in AC Crispin's books, and I always thought that Luke reminded him of that kid who I think dies in Rebel Dream.
I think so.
I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but he gave me Luke vibes. So I always felt like in the back of my mind, like headcanoning it, that when he hung out with Luke, he kind of thought of that kid who, like, I think named himself Han 2 or something, wherever he did. I forget what he did, but he called himself Solo, but he wasn't a Solo. So anyway, I'll get off of that now.
Yeah, there's a lot of adventures we had, and we saw in the stuff we've covered between Han, Luke, and Leia. And then even later on in the EU, you have things like the Valentine story with Han and Leia that I think occur chronologically before this, or like at least before the Battle of Hoth. So that has some later implications. But just looking at the movie itself, I think they did a pretty good job setting the relationship, the different variables that, like you said, Leia didn't initially like Han, but then later on, as they go through the asteroid belt and then eventually to Cloud City, their relationship grows and sets the stage. I mean, really, there's not much happening between Han and Leia in Return of the Jedi, where at the end of the film they're kind of together. I know Leia gets shot and Han kind of like bandages her up or whatever, but really most of their them being together happens in this film. So I think it does a pretty good job on its own, just making that whole relationship believable.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
There's
for sure.
There's a very brief moment after C-3PO interrupts the kiss, when Leia leaves and Han's face, his expression changes, and it's, as I said, it's very brief, but it's sort of this moment of, oh, okay, maybe I'd better get serious about this.
It's the I've just been locked in the holodeck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rizzing up my love interest.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Han just saved Luke's life too, right? He went out in the cold to like get him, and then it's like,
to be fair,
gonna steal your girl after all that, right?
She instigated this in this specific case. She instigated this. He's just reaping the rewards until the next movie, and then we're in trouble. But that's the next movie. We're good.
Yeah. All of Han and Leia's scenes on Cloud City, when they're talking about whether or not they can trust Lando, and they've both dropped the act. They're much more open with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Comfortable by that point, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, by Cloud City, like we're done with this facade, which is nice.
Yeah, they're basically boyfriend and girlfriend in all but name at that point.
Well,
she have a label on it.
She throws that out there. She's like, I love you, and then he goes,
I know.
Yeah. But what I meant to say is it's like it's believable just if you watch the films themselves, and it expands even more, especially the stuff between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, where Han's frozen in carbonite. Leia's like sole purpose is to go after Han and save him. So that works either way, and reading the EU gives you that much more of the relationship.
Yeah.
Also, Han saving Luke in this film, I think that pairs quite nicely with Luke saving Han in the next one.
Yes.
And I know that was all of them going after him, but there's that moment when they're leaving, and Han says, "As Luke, thanks for coming after me."
Yeah.
To be fair, they really hadn't done a very good job rescuing him up to that point.
Yes. It turned into a big mess, but
yeah,
it worked out.
It came out in the wash, as
speaking of Cloud City, Lando Calrissian is the rizziest Riz to have ever rizzed. Like,
I don't think the kids say
I don't swing that way, but man, he's charismatic, I'll tell you that.
He used to do the what was it, Bolt 45 ads? Is that yeah. Oh yeah.
He's a good archetype. I like the character. I think it was needed within the context of Star Wars to have somebody who you can't quite trust exactly, come in and, at the end of the day, he does sell him out, but he kind of redeems himself, right? Joins the alliance and proves himself.
I love his performance. He's so good in this movie. He's like Billy D. Williams. Like,
you truly belong with us among the stars. Ooh, that's smooth.
But even like when he's like, listen, Han's gonna get taken by the bounty hunter, but Chewbacca and Leia will be okay. That's the best I can do for you. Like, oh, you're such a hero. He's like, I'm sorry. That's the best I can do. Like, you can see it. Like, he's upset about it. And it's just like, I love his performance in this movie. It's so good.
When they're trying to escape and the hyperdrive fails and Chewie just turns
and looks at it like, you furry. Is that a furry? Is he like a fish?
He's like
a have it though.
Toad thing. Anyway.
He does a really good job of convincingly portraying a person being choked by a big hairy creature.
Yeah. Which I imagine is probably pretty hard, given that's.
Oh, I know from experience when Bigfoot choked me out one time.
Damn.
So, I can vouch it was accurate.
And the moment where they walk into the dining room and Vader's there, and Lando says, "They arrived." Said, "I had no choice. They arrived right before you did. I'm sorry."
Scott, where do you rank Lando among the OT crew? Where do you?
That's hard to say. I've never had a favorite character like amongst at least the original trilogy. I like Obi-Wan in the prequel trilogy, but Lando, he's not the traditional like heroic archetype, but I like that he has a redemption. Like he's not trustworthy. Plus he's a very smooth, cool character. I think he was a good idea, but he's not necessarily a favorite for me.
That's fair. I think it
I love
takes for
everything
me
about him. He
until
probably is.
I love him in Empire. I think it takes until Return of the Jedi for him to be in my favorites. I can rewatch the space battle. In fact, I do like every other week. I rewatch that whole space battle. I love that scene. I love where he. But that's Return of the Jedi. In this, I love that he's smooth. I love that he's a little bit of a gambler. I love his costume with the blue and the cape. Oh, looks great.
I like
His
that
fit is so good.
Yes, he sells them out to the Empire, but he doesn't feel good about it.
No, you can see that clearly on his face. Like,
it's also pretty heavily implied that it was not like he didn't do this. He didn't choose this. He was literally forced, effectively at gunpoint.
So God Games and Geekiness. That's a mouthful of a name, but we said at the beginning, it's mostly just a movie because the comic and everything, it's all virtually the same. There are little additions, like you just said, but nothing crazy enough to really warrant, I think, a single discussion on just one of them. So, I mean, we will be scrolling through the comic, but it's mostly just the movie itself.
Right. There are a couple points of differences I just wanted to mention. I didn't go through the whole audio drama or the whole novel. I did skim through the comic as well, but some things that I noted, and I did read a good portion of the beginning of the novel, and one aspect, I think there's a deleted scene about it, of General Veers' AT-AT getting destroyed, and that's sort of an interesting point in the EU because he later shows up in Dark Empire, and there's a whole backstory of how he was crippled but survived. Interestingly enough, the Hobby, who's one of the snowspeeder pilots, he shows up in Rogue Squadron, Wraith Squadron later on in the EU, but he's like the last remaining snowspeeder, and his fighter's damaged, and he decides to like kamikaze right into the bridge of the AT-AT there to buy him some more time. And it's assumed, at least in the novel, that he died, but later EU retcons or whatever, because obviously he shows up later, they say that he just bailed out. He like ejected from his snowspeeder along with his co-pilot. So I found that interesting as well, because it was sort of like a deleted scene. It was sort of taken out, but not, but yet that backstory, or at least what was deleted, remained something that continued on in the EU.
And I think in Shadows of Mindor, right, in the very opening, Hobby mentions that his like leg was taken trying to escape the AT-AT or something like that. Something to that effect. Like he
loses a couple of limbs. I think he's aboard the Rand Ecliptic with Biggs, and that story is in like Rebellion or Empire comics.
One of the two. I get them so confused.
He loses some limbs in that ordeal, and then loses some more in the snowspeeder accident. So it's like, wow.
And I think Veers got screwed up as well in that, right?
Yeah. Right. It's pretty brutal the way it's described in the book. It's like metal shards like ripped everybody apart. Inside the AT-AT, like the bridge crew got basically torn apart.
This is one of the things where like they definitely died, but hey, we didn't see that part. We have to go back and fix it.
It also says after he shot the laser at the shield generator, he started using the legs of the AT-AT to just like stomp and mash the rebel soldiers on the ground. It's pretty brutal there.
Yeah.
So
speaking of AT-AT, so super cool new design that we got. Definitely toy marketable, but they were super cool, looking like camels, big giant camels that shoot at you. And the idea of just using their legs to take them down was super genius. Definitely a critical flaw on the Empire's part to not even consider that. But to be fair, I mean, I wouldn't have thought a couple what is it? I don't even know what it is. Like a couple like wires would be enough to do that. So I mean, ingenuity on the Rebellion's part, if I'm being honest.
That is one of my favorite like moves is when Wedge is coming around, and detached cable. That's awesome. That's so good.
Was that Wedge or was that Zev?
That was Wedge.
Oh, really?
And then Jansen was in the back.
Mm.
Good shot,
No,
Jansen.
nobody cares about these two characters really until the EU.
Hey, I cared about him immediately.
I like Zev because Zev is the one that finds Han and Luke, but then he gets killed sadly in the Battle of Hoth. So he's the big death. At least at that part of the film.
Since we're jumping, well, we went to Cloud City, then we jump back. How do we feel about the Wampas? Our big snowmen. I think they're kind of whatever.
Yeah, I don't have very strong feelings from the Wampas. They're cool, literally.
Yeah.
I like the probe droids better, I think.
Probe droids are cooler. I like their design better.
I used to be able to make the sound. I can't really do it anymore. Nah, can't do it. Oh.
This is also... Darth Vader never took off his helmet in the previous movie.
No.
So we see him, his meditation thing. We see the helmet.
Comic. Yeah, he looks weird in the comic because it looks like he has hair in the silhouette.
Let's take a look at the comic. Let's see that scene in the comic, Robert, if you can find it here. But how did we feel? So I wanted to ask this a little bit earlier. How do we feel about the Empire and Vader's portrayal in this movie as opposed to The New Hope? Oh,
so it's pretty much the same as we have seen in the stories of the material we covered in the EU, where he's after Luke Skywalker. But the big reveal is we get to see the Emperor in this movie.
Let's take a look here.
So
it does look like he has hair.
Yeah, he looks like Jason Voorhees.
More like Anakin would be if he hadn't got burned, right?
Yeah. I don't know. That's a weird silhouette. But it is a silhouette, so it's hard to see in the darkness.
We get that reveal that he's like a human. He's not just a robot. There's a man behind the suit. And then we get to see there's this Emperor of the Galaxy, which I think is also in the comic. He's just basically a hooded silhouette that Vader answers to. And they have this interest in turning Luke Skywalker to the dark side. So we get the setup.
We don't always like the special editions here. But let me just say, I'm sorry, but the original Emperor looks like poop, and I will not hear anything to the contrary. The fifth movie,
you shouldn't see him until Return of the Jedi. They do a face reveal of him. I don't want to see him until Return of the Jedi.
Regardless, too late. He was shown regardless in Episode 5, but he looked like awful in the original version. So
chimpanzee eyes.
To look like he did, like the guy in Episode 6 is way better in the special edition, because before, regardless of what we would like, which is for him to only show up in Return of the Jedi, he shows up in Episode 5.
No, I mean, like we don't get a good look at his face until the reveal in Return of the Jedi.
They show like his face, and he looks dumb in the original version.
I want to see his face as little as possible until that reveal.
I understand what you want, but I'm saying in the movie they show his face. It looks bad. So if I'm gonna have to look at his face, I'd rather be accurate.
I'd rather it look bad and not see it as much than have a good looking version where I just see his face, like, oh, that's what it looks like.
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree on that. I don't want to see a crappy looking face. It looks like some sort of car,
and I'm coming down
abomination.
To Cali, and we're gonna have to do.
We're gonna have to draw it out. I'll let you take the win. It's okay. But I like Ian McDermott's face, and I prefer the special edition version of that.
I also like Ian McDermott's face, but I don't want to see it until Episode 6.
Okay, but you've got strong opinions, and that's okay. I'm just saying that regardless, I have to look at the Emperor's face, okay? And I would rather look at a pretty face than an ugly one. That's all I'm saying. If I could change the movie, if I could go back in time and make the Emperor not be in Episode 5 at all, I would. But he's there, so I want a pretty one instead of a disgusting one. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with Al. The problem with the special edition is like they revealed more and more of the Emperor, and for each subsequent special edition, then the 1997 one, and then later on they changed it to where he's basically the Episode 3 Darth Sidious, which I don't like at all. So
don't do this. That's step one. Don't do that. Watch it in the order
you please. Do whatever you watch it in the order that George Lucas says, which is
anyway. We're getting another tangent here, but no, yeah.
Anyway, but yes, yeah, that's also a really cool scene. Just the Emperor scene with Vader when they start alluding very heavily for the end of the movie with the Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker things that they say.
See, this is
because they're
actually
very
perfect
much
right here.
foreshadowing.
This is how it should be, right? Just a hooded silhouette.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't even see what you see in the real version. Like, this is what I
What it
want.
shoulda, coulda. It doesn't matter. What
Yeah,
it
but you
matters
see
what
less of his
is,
face.
what
Oh yeah.
has
Anyway,
been.
we gotta move on because
We don't have a
we're just
DeLorean.
gonna
We can't
keep
change
going
it,
forever.
guys.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Something I like about this scene, it tells you a little bit about the way Vader thinks about about Luke versus the way Palpatine thinks, because Vader says if he could be turned, he would be a powerful ally, and Palpatine says yes, he would be a great asset.
Yes.
The difference in the way they talk about him,
Vader
as a person versus as a tool.
And that's a great point, because it sets the stage for later comics like the Apprentice annual one, where we see that there could be other Dark Jedi, like other pawns that the Emperor uses, Shabri, amongst others. So I like that it fits with the EU. It really, I think, establishes the EU, right? It establishes the fact that the Emperor might have other assets, other enforcers other than Darth Vader.
Yeah. It also shows that Palpatine does not care about the rule too, and never has. So,
well, that was a prequel era thing, so we didn't know.
I know.
About
I'm just saying.
Also, good job, Al Williamson.
Yeah, that is a very well rendered Darth Vader.
Yeah, very good.
Something this is a little bit of an aside, but something I really appreciate is the increasing shininess of Darth Vader's helmet over the course of the films. In the first one,
he started cleaning it more.
It looks like they've got fingerprints all over it and stuff because they didn't think that this movie would matter. Second one, he looks a lot better, looks a lot cleaner. Third one, it's so shiny, he looks so good.
Yep. He had to look all nice and good for the finale.
Not as like badass or whatever. I mean, it looks a little too shiny for like to be bad, but it is very shiny.
Nice to sell. Oh look, this instead of Luke and Leia. For once.
Well, I mean, we can find the other one real quick, as well if you like.
With the yes, please do. That's beautiful. But we were talking about Vader with the person versus the asset. Vader for so long was trying to really bury Anakin as like a separate entity, and that he's just this machine now. He tries to make himself believe that. Obi-Wan and Yoda try to make Luke believe that in this very movie. We'll get to all of that later on. But, Anakin, as much as he wants to gaslight himself into thinking that he's kind of dead, I'm just using the entire EU here. I'm not just using the Episode 5 movie right now.
Right.
But he's still there, and it's a small thing. But him saying I want him as an ally, he thought everyone he cared about was dead. I mean, it's initially why he hates himself more than anything else. That's what gives him such power. It's not his anger toward anything else. It's anger at himself for what he did. And so, regardless of the stupid no, he should have just screamed. Since we're talking about what it shoulda, coulda, he should have screamed in Episode 3 instead of saying no. But he has his chances.
I don't think you should have screamed at all.
Yeah, he's already expressing.
I think it would have been really scary to hear like almost like through the mask, like you can barely even comprehend it. I don't know. I have a vision in my head where it's really cool. Anyway, off topic. But I think this twisted like Vader mind, it's like, well, I'm bad now, but I can share this with my son. I can have a semblance of something back. I just need him to turn to the dark side like I did, and I can have a little family again with my son. Because he wants a partner. He doesn't want a subservient slave. Palpatine just wants players on a chessboard that he can use at will. But Vader wants a partner, And I don't think he would do that if it was some random kid that was super strong in the Force. I don't think he'd be pushing it hard. I think it is only because he knows it's his son. So I just wanted to say that. It was on my mind.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I mean, I know this is dipping into the prequel territory, but how many Jedi has Vader killed? And
Tons.
And the idea of turning Luke to the dark side, this is something that this is an idea that he brings up unprompted. It's not something that Palpatine suggests. It's something Vader suggests, and that's interesting. He's already expressing misgivings about the idea of killing Luke, and he's trying to get out of it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. There's a couple ways of looking at this whole scene. Like, obviously now at this point in The Empire Strikes Back, we didn't know Luke and Leia are brothers and sisters. So we know Vader knows he has a son out there, but in light of the EU, in light of the other movies, we could surmise that he may think he has a daughter out there. Doesn't know what happened to him. Maybe he thinks he could find out more information about that through Luke, and maybe that's why he doesn't want to kill him.
That could be too. I mean, did he know it was gonna be twins? All he knew was that Padme was pregnant. So the fact
that's a
I don't think he figures out about Leia till he senses Luke's mind in the battle in episode 6.
That's true, because he goes,
like he gets like excited about it.
Yeah,
like he just figured it out. So I think he only knows about Luke right now, which I think adds to it, because he's like, I have family still. I thought it was all over. I thought it was all gone. There's like, I have something here that I didn't know I had. So at this point, I don't think he knows about Leia at all. I think he just thinks that she's Bale's daughter, and there's no clue it's his.
I mean, well, obviously, yeah, because she doesn't have the name Skywalker. Like, the only reason he knows Luke is his son is because he has his name.
Man, they really took great precautions in protecting
Luke. We'll keep him on Tattoo, but we won't call him Lars. We'll keep him as Skywalker. It's it's on all the public documents. It's on his social security. You think that?
To be fair, he's basically living in the middle of nowhere. Like
Yes.
I don't think they got social security offices.
They probably don't. Jabba doesn't have a good healthcare system.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That could be.
There's the home for retired aliens in the Jedi Prince books.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Dark the best part.
What do we think about Yoda? We talk a little bit about Darth Vader. What about my good buddy Yoda?
He looks like he should be on Sesame Street.
That's true.
I think
smoking dope I am.
I think it's amazing that despite the fact that he's, obviously a puppet, the way he moves and everything, he feels like a person.
Thank you to the puppeteers of this movie for making him seem so lifelike.
The Jim Henson Company was responsible for this. It was of course very, very famously Frank Oz, who I think was Fozzie Bear, if I'm not mistaken. I think.
I don't think there's a specific story, but
not that I know of.
Just find it later.
I think Yoda looks great. I do think I guess he does talk a little bit backwards after they do the reveal that he is a Jedi, but I do think it's a little bit weird that he keeps talking backwards forever.
He's doing it on purpose because every other one of his species that we meet talks normal. He's the only one who does this. He's doing it to mess with everyone.
That's fine. That's a weird quirk of his species. Like, I could understand that. I don't like how Yoda acts. I know it's just intrigue and mystery for the viewer the first time you watch it, but Yoda's not a very good character until he gets serious. Like the point where Luke understands that he's a Jedi Knight, and then he gets serious, and then it's like, okay, this kind
Swampy
of
mud hole, my home. This is like
Fozzie.
But.
The
scene where Yoda, like, it tells us about the Force, feel the force around you, all that stuff. That's one of my favorite scenes just ever. And then
I think everybody that thinks about this film, Dagobah is like the first thing they go to, right? I mean, everything about Dagobah is fantastic. And we talked about when we did our Split of the Mind's Eye episode, it was just all kind of a precursor to this. But I think it's really interesting. I mean, everybody, talks about this movie, and everybody knows the movie in its context of the time, 1980. And, a lot of people also get their very, 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 very opinionated views on the Force and certain things specifically because of those scenes. Like, I don't know, I still to this day I've been baffled by these 40-year-olds and up that have complained about the fact that in episode 2 and 3, Yoda uses a lightsaber because he said in this movie that you use the Force for defense, not attack. And so somehow they extrapolated in their minds over the years as a child and growing up that means that Yoda never used a lightsaber. I'm like, where in your mind did you get that notion that he doesn't use it? That's something you came up with. That's nothing the film says at all. So I always found that a little silly. But what I think is interesting is,
he doesn't say like you're never gonna need. He says at one point, like when he goes into the cave, no weapons, you will not need them. That doesn't mean he'll never need them. Right?
Yeah,
that's that very specific circumstance where you only take with you what you need or whatever he says.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting.
In the previous film, Obi-Wan says, when he's talking about when he shows Luke the lightsaber, he says this is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Yoda was a Jedi Master, so
you're not a Jedi Master who should only use the Force. But what I think is really interesting, though, if you're taking all 6 films into the thing, because this is something that both him and I think they're in the wrong for it, but both him and Ben in this story, they talk about never using the Force for violence, only for defense. But then every time in this movie, they mention how Vader is pure evil. He's a monster. You have to kill him. That's what you should be doing. Also, abandon your friends because you need to complete your training. That's more important. If you go and try to save your friends, then you will be bad. You're going to turn to the dark side. They really try to put this fear of God in him that he needs to stay. And, regardless of him losing his hand and stuff, ultimately, it was the right decision for him to go to Cloud City. Maybe not completely, but
I don't know if I agree with you there, Alex.
Listen, in terms of,
but also that's not they didn't say to kill Vader. They said you must confront Vader. Now I think they wanted him to kill Vader, but
at a time and a place.
In terms of the story as a whole, in order for us to get the happy ending we get in Return of the Jedi, he has to learn that Vader is his father, which I don't know if that would have happened if he didn't go to Cloud City then. Because they had that intimate time to talk. Because he was playing with him there. I don't
know if we would have got that happy ending. Vader would have had to fail, like which he did. Vader would have had to save his son. Decide to save Luke, right? Which he may not have done. It was just by happenstance. So I think Yoda gave him the right advice. I think Luke should have completed his training. He wouldn't have lost his hand, right? He almost died in that lightsaber fight against Vader. So
I don't agree. I don't think Vader ever planned on killing him.
Oh, really?
That's interesting. From the beginning of the fight, he was toying with him the entire time.
He was toying with him for a time, but I think at the point when Luke declined Vader's invitation to join him, I think Vader was ready to kill him.
But we don't get to see that play out because
alternatively Vader was probably going to take him to the Emperor, and that would have been
that's what I think would have happened. I don't think just because his son's being a little brat in his mind that he just go like, well, I'm done. Because he went through all that trouble to ask his master to let him be trained. So
regardless, like Yoda foresaw it was a trap, right? And told Luke disobeyed that and went anyway. Sure, it turned out okay, but I think it would have turned out better had he followed Yoda's advice.
I mean, Vader was planning to carbon freeze Luke.
What?
He was going to carbon freeze Luke.
tested on Captain Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to make sure that he didn't die.
Survive, he's worth a lot to me.
You
will be compensated if he does. Put him in. I'm sorry.
What I am going to say is that I think Yoda in this film has changed a lot from episode 3 when we last saw him. He had his pride and his faith lost at the end of episode 3. He tried to take down the Emperor, failed miserably. And I think it's only in the novelization, but he says, I forget what he says exactly, but he kind of says like
I must go into exile. Yeah, it's.
Well, he says to go into exile, but he says more. He says like it's like my pride or my hubris in the Jedi Order has failed.
Failed have I? Into exile I must go.
But
there, Al got it right.
So,
but
the scene,
I think it's
the scene where Luke leaves Dagobah. There's okay, so he's partly doing this out of fear, yes, but I think also because, well, they're my friends. I've got to help them. They're in danger. And Yoda and Obi-Wan are both trying to talk him out of it, but they're doing it in different ways. You know, Yoda's taking the approach of, look, even if you stay here, even if they die, it'll be worth it if it means that you get to complete your training and go on to do what you need to do.
That's what I was trying to say. I think is that I don't.
Yes,
that's the thing where he's still
Obi-Wan specifically says like you don't know that.
Yes,
Luke surmises in his head that they're going to die, and he needs to go after them to save them, or else he'll die. Obi-Wan specifically says
he did not affect the outcome of them escaping.
No.
Yeah,
he came and then he was defeated, and then they came and picked him up. He did not factor into their escape at all. I guess that he distracted Vader, but
Vader could have been it could have been harder to escape from Vader had he been there. So
but even still, I'm not completely convinced that, because again, he outside of distracting Vader, he did not aid in this at all. But as usual, Yoda makes a terrible argument and looks like a Muppet, so we can discard him.
It's really Lando that saves him, by the way, right?
That's true.
That's because Lando's the true hero of this movie.
It's Lando and R2 who remembered that somewhere in the computer that they shut the hyperdrive down, so he turns it back on. Woo! And they go into hyperdrive.
I also love when Yoda slaps R2-D2 with his cane. I just think that's funny.
Yeah,
it's mine.
Anyway,
he's extra for the sake of it.
Would Leia, Chewie, and Lando have escaped from Cloud City without R2?
That is a good point.
That's a good point, actually. So maybe it is destiny, fate. It is required that Luke goes to Cloud City because they wouldn't have R2-D2 without him.
Well, C-3PO got blasted into a million pieces, and they're just carrying him in a bag. So he's probably slowing him down, if anything. But R2-D2, he does play a role. Maybe not the definitive role he does in fixing the hyperdrive, but I think he doesn't he undo the thing for Lando to announce the Empire's taking control of the city. Doesn't R2 play a role in that? I don't know. I just watched it. I should know.
No, R2 is plugging into the power socket.
Yeah, he gets shocked. And then he does give them a little bit of a fire extinguisher, smoke cloud to escape. That didn't really help that much, but it is cool.
But yeah, when Luke's leaving, Obi-Wan, he's known Luke for much longer, and he's much more understanding. And I think during his time on Tatooine, he's come around a bit more in his his thinking as a Jedi. He's sort of moved on from the much more rigid views that he used to have. And yeah, so I think he understands why Luke is doing this, but is trying to say, look, this may not be the wise thing to do if you don't know that. Yes, they're in danger, but you don't know that if you stay here, they're going to die. What I would have said perhaps is maybe you should trust that they can handle whatever it is that they're dealing with at the moment.
Or he just doesn't care about it, right? Luke cares about him, but not necessarily Yoda or Obi-Wan. But yeah, I can see that.
I think that scene is very sort of, it sort of encapsulates, well, if that's the right word, it indicates the sort of differences between the Obi-Wan and Yoda are a product of the old way of doing things, right? The previous Jedi Order,
right?
And
different priorities.
And Luke's priorities in that moment are much more indicative of what his Jedi Order is going to be like.
And that's something that really only comes across once you've seen the prequels.
Yeah, a merger of both.
Like you don't, because we don't know how like strict the Jedi are until we see them in the context of like there's 10,000 of them running around.
Yeah.
So I think in hindsight, you would look at it as, okay, was it a stupid decision? Yes. Would I do it again? Yes.
Yeah, I do think Luke would do it again. But Luke is also dumb, so we should always keep that in mind. He let the 11-year-olds build laser swords.
You know what? If we're gonna do this again to my Kevin James, then you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna mention the fact that Boba Fett sits there and does nothing in this movie, and everybody glazes him as the coolest person ever.
I'll take that. I'll take that L if I can take the W. Luke.
He finds the Millennium Falcon. Okay, yes. all the Imperials are tricked by the Millennium Falcon landing on the back of it. Boba Fett sticks around, and he knows like right where the Millennium Falcon's going. Even when they lose their hyperdrive, and that's a whole big ordeal. Like, how do you go through the galaxy if your hyperdrive's down? Like, how do you get all the way to Cloud City? I think they're on. Are they on Dara 4?
That's a great question.
Know it.
And when they're taking Han away, and Luke is sort of following, and Boba Fett he doubles back, notices that Luke is following, and shoots at him a bit. And
he does.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Cloud City, and Boba Fett, I'll give you 2 W's for Boba Fett. Okay, so the dining room where it's mostly goes to Vader. He's kind of like in his aura, so he gets some of the aura added. He gets like a bonus aura, but like so Han immediately goes to shoot Vader. Vader goes nope, and then Boba Fett just kind of standing to the side there. And then the other one,
if you were to join us.
I like how in the comic, in that scene specifically, Vader mentions Boba Fett. In case you didn't know who Boba Fett is, like it reminds the comic viewer who this guy is. So sorry, go ahead.
But and then the other thing that I'll agree, because see, I'm a bit of a contrarian. I'll tend to be a little bit more kinder to like the special editions and stuff. But one thing that really upsets me about the special edition is, and I understand why lore-wise, and I agree with it halfly with having the clone voices be Boba Fett's voice because he is a clone. But I always hated the fact that they changed his voice. I always would have preferred the EU explanation, which they never officially did. This is me headcanoning, which is that Boba Fett, when he has the mask on, should sound how he originally sounded. And the few times he takes off his mask, yes, of course, he sounds like every other clone trooper. But I liked the original voice. I like I do not like him being like, yes, sir. I can't do his voice, but it sounds wrong. It just doesn't
I
sound
really
right.
like Tamora Morrison, of course, obviously.
Mm.
And I even came around to him as Boba Fett, like watching The Mandalorian, which was not a show I enjoyed that much. It had its moments. It was fun. But the scenes with Boba Fett early on where he's like doing cool stuff, I was like, okay, this is pretty sick. I like seeing Tamora Morrison in this role. No, the Jason Wingreen version. That's not even me being like an old person who's like, oh, I like the old version of things. That's just like, this just sounds cooler. He sounds cooler.
It sounds way more intimidating.
Nastier and meaner. I like it.
It's the
That's not what Anakin sounds like under the mask, so why couldn't it be the same for
Boba? Let's see.
It's the one. Oh yeah, Boba Fett and I would be honored if you would join us. In case you didn't know who he was, so
they changed it. Boba Fett and I would be honored if you would join us. I also love Han's shoot first attitude. I think somebody said earlier, Han shooting first, defense or attack. He doesn't use the Force, so it doesn't apply to him. But yes, I love Han's immediate instinct to do that to Vader of all people.
Awesome. It's so sick. Hey, wait a second. Him shooting Greedo, who has a gun pointed at him in the bar, that makes him a killer, though. So we have to wait until Vader's choking him out for him to go and try to shoot. Okay, that's my new.
Another heart-wrenching thing in this movie that for some reason got me a lot more this time than I think any other time I watched it was after they torture Han. He very meekly says when Leia goes to him, she's like, what did they ask you? And he's like, they didn't ask me anything. Yeah. You just hurt me for like an hour.
For a long time, I didn't understand what that meant until I think I was like 12 or like 13. When I was like, oh, he's just trying to get Luke to feel their pain through the Force.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not understand that as a kid. I was like,
that's so horrible for Han. And then he gets carbonated after this. Like, bro's not having a good time.
Or they were testing that machine to maybe use it on Luke. I don't know if they had to.
That's true. That's true.
And Chewbacca gets so much to do in this film.
He does.
He also has so much facial expression.
3PO back together.
He's awesome. He's got
sad Chewie makes me sad.
I love the scene where he's putting them back together and he's making little noises, and then 3PO turns on and he's like, I'm backwards, and then he has to quickly shut him off because he keeps screaming. That's awesome. I love that. I love this movie. This is my second favorite Star Wars movie after Return of the Jedi. I guess that's my hot take, but that's what it is. So
I kind of like Revenge of the Sith the best, but this is objectively the best movie.
Oh no, I do agree with that.
No, yeah. If we're talking objectively, like just in terms of film,
it doesn't look like it was made for TV. So
there was just a couple other differences for the audio drama that I wanted to mention. So you have the whole Renegade Squadron that's delivering supplies to Echo Base at the beginning. Commander Nara, hardly knew ye, but he gets destroyed at the beginning. So kind of sets the stage. That's really the only important part of the audio drama. Everything else is pretty similar. In the novel, I think we mentioned Yoda's blue, but I don't think he's blue in the comic. I think they might have. Now, this has been recolored here in 2002. It mentions it in a long time ago here. There's an intro stage with it talks about how many hours it took to recolor all of these to like modern standards. So if you read the original like comics, they have those dots. They're not like filled in totally in the coloring. So
I really like this cover.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cover. Along with the fight was really good, and very clearly, unlike the next movie, it was a very one-sided fight. Vader was not trying for most of this fight, and you could see it. He was just kind of playing with him like a cat and a mouse, and it was great to watch. It was also great just to see Luke have a little bit more ability in this movie, and see him use the lightsaber more frequently because he didn't really use it in the first movie that much, and to see him, just. Also, I don't think this was the special edition specific. I think this is every version. You could correct me if I'm wrong. Luke does this little freaking floop jump out of the hole,
Yes.
But it's like super fast, and I'm like, that's a weird edit, but that was on purpose because he was using the Force to speed up.
That's why he says impressive, most impressive.
Yeah. Which then, in the prequels, you get all those crazy acrobatics and stuff. It's like, well, there's a precedent for it because Luke did that crazy thing in Empire Strikes Back. So, it was cool to see that. Because I always thought it was weird. I watched, you go back and watch episode 1 and then the opening scene with the droids, and then they do like this weird like vroom. I was like, what? They can't do that. And then I watched episode 5 and I'm like, oh, never mind, Luke did that already. So it's already established.
I like
don't know if that was
in the
like
comics here, they
special edition thing or not.
They give Lando a little hit of blue, like right in the collar, like right there, or red, I should say. Yeah, look at that. That looks nice.
That looks nice.
Anyway, Robert, I think you're about to say something.
Yeah, there are a few moments where Vader gets a bit careless because, as you said, he's barely trying, but then
Luke injures him. Then he gets mad.
Yeah,
gets him on the shoulder.
Yeah, there's a point. Yeah, things reach a point where he's decided, okay, I'm
all right.
I'm done.
Daddy has to put on his big boy shoes now. It's like when you're fighting it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
So what about the reveal? Well, I should say the hand chop off and the reveal, because when I showed this to my friends a few years ago who hadn't seen Star Wars, they were more concerned about Luke losing his hand than the Vader thing. And they didn't know that the Vader twist, at least not like specifically. They were more impressed that they actually cut off Luke's hand, which I honestly kind of forget about, to be, because he replaced it by the end.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Robert. First off, I just want to apologize for that. I got a little excited. I was just saying because I used to fight with my brother-in-law, who's a lot younger than me, and it was always like, you kind of play fight, especially because my brother's like 9 years younger than me. Just kind of go like, have fun, let him get some licks in. But then, sometimes little kids can be stronger than you expect, and they get you a good little whack in like the face or something. You're like, ow, that really hurt. And so, you're not like, I'm gonna go beat up a child, but you kind of do like a little like retort that's a little stronger than you intended. It's always
throw them
like
across the room. You're just like,
yeah, you're like, I'm just trying to shove you, but you end up pushing them really hard. It's always it's what I thought like with Vader. Like he's like, oh, you're so cute, and then you actually hurt him. He's like, okay, all right, I'll be serious. And you want me to be serious? I'll be serious.
Mean business. Just to address the comments in the chat real quick. So Yoda is green in the comic, at least the recolorized version. Yoda is blue in the novelization.
Yes.
This right here.
Also, come on, Marvel, you're not going to show us the severed hand?
Hey.
Oh yeah, did they not? I forgot. They don't show it?
This is the panel where it happens.
Don't worry, when we get to Return of the Jedi, that whole thing is a fucking mess and they ruin it. So I'm gonna have a lot to say with that one. But yeah.
It's an iconic thing for Luke with his robot hands, so I
don't really like how that's depicted in the film. It's like Vader almost stabs his hand. Like he doesn't cut it off from an angle. Yeah. Like he cuts it off straight on. Like it just disintegrates his hand. And then just the weird angle that Mark Hamill
holds for like half a second. Like, do you notice that? Like he's just holding his hand out for like 3 frames too many, and then
doesn't cut any of his sleeve off, any of the end of his shirt off. Like I think they could have done that better in filming. It's just the way he's standing is like a weird angle. Like it's obviously he has his hand down his sleeve. It looks a little bit bad.
At least in episode 3, when Anakin does the same thing to Dooku, he does like he does like an arced cut. It's like, okay, I'll buy it. That this is still here because he like angled.
And he gets
it.
On his knees for some reason. Like he's
I don't
know.
That's
that's always weird to me. I was like, why?
I think in the novelization, I think Palpatine purposely made him go down and also made him shut up to explain why he doesn't just spill the beans. I think the novel does that anyway. or I'm coping.
The novel goes into his head where he's just like taken aback because he didn't think he'd be in this situation. Like he thought he'd take care of Anakin and just like he didn't think he would lose the fight at all, and then he realizes it's too late. It's a good scene in the novel, but
yeah. But anyway, yeah, I do agree that the cutting off Luke's hand looked dumb. As for his hand being cut off, I like it. It gives him some stakes. You know,
it's a
even
shocking
Luke
moment.
is impervious to violence.
Like I said, they were more shocked by him losing his hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the reveal, I think Mark Hamill does a really good job of selling it.
I think so. I think people make fun of it now, but I think, you know, the first time you ever watch it, I mean, I'm fully in belief of it. You know, you make fun of it after the fact, like, haha, you know, but when you're watching, you're totally invested in it.
He's just been told that that his dad,
Space is where it's his dad, you know,
who he wondered about his whole life, is the second worst person in the galaxy.
He is alive, but is Hitler. That's a kind of a bad.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Who just cut off his hand and tortured his friends.
Yeah,
I like the no, that's not true part, but when he starts to scream, I don't like that. There's too much screaming about it. Yeah. I think like if I were Luke trying to put myself in that situation, I'd want to ask more questions. Like while I had the opportunity, like why did you kill off the Jedi?
But like emotionally in the moment, would you be able to process all that and ask those questions?
Well, you get more than a moment, right? He's kind of hanging from the side of that ledge, and he's out of the way, so the battle stopped. So he has a little bit of time to reflect on his thoughts.
I mean, I understand
the fact
like
he's silent. He's silent for a little bit too long, I think. But maybe I'm just looking at that in retrospect.
I mean, I think your point is valid. I just also think like it's one thing to say that when you're just a passive observer. It's like I can't even imagine like fighting a duel with this guy somewhere, and then like that's hi, I'm Dad. And just like maybe I'd ask questions, maybe I'd be like kind of choked up, unable to. I don't know.
He recovers enough to at least like almost smile. He's like, well, I'm gonna just throw myself down this void, and like he thinks like he's almost like committing suicide in effect. Like I
don't think he expected to survive this. I think Luke has a very weird relationship to wanting to like kill himself because he does it twice. He does it right here because there's no way he thought he was going to survive this, and then he actively thought the Empire, like the mission to see the Emperor, was like, well, I'm going to die on the Death Star.
Yeah, it was a suicide mission.
Yeah. So,
right,
like,
where he turns himself in, but
he
does it for a purpose. Like at least for here, he's like, well, at least I'm preserving myself. I'm not going to turn to the dark side. I might die. Yeah. I'm just going to throw myself into the void. Luckily for him, the Millennium Falcon catches him. But yeah.
And he also just is angled perfectly to not go splat anywhere. He goes down the space tube.
Now, another difference, like in the novel, he's not hanging on from the ledge like he is in the movie, where he catches another ledge before, like when he's like at the bottom of Cloud City. Here he just falls, and like the Falcon catches him. He doesn't drop himself into Lando's arms, Lando's outstretched arms.
Wow, he got real lucky in the book.
Oh, this is a really nice page.
It's nice. I noticed that the issue has him going which is not accurate to the movie at the moment this was released, but would retroactively become correct with subsequent iterations of this film.
Yeah.
In fact, what did he say? Oh no, he says never. No, okay, never mind. It's safe.
I thought he does scream in the original version.
No, he's silent. And then
he goes. He doesn't scream out like in pain, but he just. I don't know.
There's a musical.
You can hear the echo as he's like falling.
There's a musical cue that kind of sounds like screaming, but in the special edition, it definitely is like a difference.
Oh, maybe. Maybe I'm thinking of the soundtrack. Which, by the way, the soundtrack for this, something we haven't talked about. I think probably the best thing ever. Sorry, Robert, you go ahead before I.
No, yes, I agree.
My favorite piece of Star Wars music is the bit where they're escaping Cloud City.
So that's used as Leia's theme like over and over, and I think that's great. I think it's even used a little bit in the sequel trilogy. But Imperial March we get here, fantastic. I don't think that could possibly be any better. If you were trying to do that, fill that purpose of like seeing the Star Destroyers in orbit and making like a menacing theme for a military power, it just doesn't get any better than that. They hit a 10 out of 10.
I think the iterations of the Imperial March only get better over the course of the film, and then in the next film with the huge orchestral version with the Emperor, where he comes off the,
then you add the
shuttle,
Emperor's theme,
and then it transitions to the Emperor's theme. Yeah, that's so good. But we'll get to that. I can't keep talking about Return of the Jedi.
Or the cool little thing in Episode 1 at the end of the movie, where it's the
yes.
I genuinely don't hear it.
But if you listen,
I don't.
It's just
I need to hear like the slowed down version, because I do not hear it. I try so hard.
I totally hear it. Like once you hear it, you can't unhear it. But it's just the happy version of Palpatine's theme because he won at the end of the movie. But that's a whole separate discussion for another time. Anyway,
any other standout pieces of music we could think of off the top of my head, or off the top of our heads, I should say?
I don't know if it's music. Oh, I guess, yeah. Well, I was gonna say the ambience on Dagobah, just in general, like the creature sounds, the like the water, like every like even like the murky like fog seems to have like some sort of like sound to it. I don't know, like it just it evokes such a strong atmosphere, like as if it were like a real place, and I love everything about the Dagobah setting. It really, you know, talk about escapism. Dagobah really feels like a place far away. If super mystical. There's even like a shot, felt very 80s, like very I don't know how to describe it. Yoda starts walking away saying like, come, follow me. And it's like this shot with him like far away, with the background of it. I don't know how to, I guess the Labyrinth is the 90s. Was it the 90s?
That's 87.
Okay, I'm good then. It reminded me a lot of Labyrinth in that moment with that particular shot. But I love Dagobah is my point. Music specifically from it, I can't recall.
There is a Dagobah theme or Yoda theme.
Yes.
Yeah, Yoda.
So, yeah. But there's two different ones on Hoth. There's a couple different on Cloud City and like the where they go through the asteroid field. I think it's just called Asteroid Field.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can live in a floating city.
I don't think there's a bad musical piece in the whole soundtrack, honestly.
I think
there's one thing Star Wars has never failed in. It's been the music. All 6 films have exquisite music.
I will say I think this is my favorite soundtrack of the 3, possibly of the 6. That I'd have to listen. Episode 1 is a strong contender, but
you have Duel of the Fates, kind of immediately. I not much beats that for me. So I don't know. I think I have to give it.
Escape from Cloud City beats, I think, every single track for me. It's just like that is my favorite. All of them across the entire series is my favorite piece of music from Star Wars. When I think of Star Wars, I think of that piece of music. Whenever I want to get into a Star Warsy mood, I listen to that.
That's fair.
I do also like the moment on Hoth when this is Rogue 2. I found them.
I repeat, I've found them.
Yeah, he's so happy. I love that scene.
And you hear that during the Ord Mantell level of Shadows of the Empire when you're jumping between the trains and you fight IG-88 at the end.
Yes, I was thinking of that exactly. Like a lot of this stuff is used for the even the Shadows of the Empire soundtrack. Like they expand upon certain motifs that are created in the Empire soundtrack.
We get mentions of the bounty hunters here for the story that we'll get to soonish. with the Ord Mantell stuff. So that's in the hallway scene that we were talking about.
The bounty hunters are the only real like aliens that we get. Like we get Yoda, of course.
They also do nothing
like,
in this whole movie, which is a little annoying. They show up.
I don't know how much of the
nothing.
Cantina aliens did.
No, I know, but it's the difference is that they were just sitting there at a bar. They set up in this movie. It's different because they're set up. Go find Han Solo. The only one we see do that. One of them did, but and we have the EU story, but it's just kind of annoying. I can forgive it in Jabba's palace and in the cantina because they're just living their life, right? It has no bearing on the plot. We're just seeing these cool things. We got some stories attached to it. But that one is specifically plot specific. Go find Han. And the only way you get an answer to that is by reading extended material. I think that's kind of lame, personally, because they just are irrelevant for the rest of the movie. I think that's just a little annoying. That's like my only flaw of the movie is that they introduce all these guys like, oh, cool, we're gonna see them for a second, and none of them show up.
My only flaw.
I don't know where you'd use them because they're pretty
I don't know either.
Jam-packed with action later on, unless like you see, because you see that they're landed in the space slug. Like maybe you see one of the bounty hunters tries to go after them during that part where they're landed on the asteroid. Maybe that's the only part I could think of where they could be used.
How about this? Because we waste so much time in this movie with Han and Leia and the stupid worm thing, which if you cut that out of the movie, you lose practically nothing. Why don't you actually use the bounty hunters? Give some time to them instead of that. That's mainly my main thing, because like if you cut out the worm section of the movie, which is like what, maybe like 10 minutes.
I like the worm.
Worm, yeah, whatever.
It's a space slug. Okay,
it doesn't add anything except what does Han and Leia need to do in between them getting Cloud City, so that way the movie can run longer. It's really all it's there for.
Listen, I'm not leaving no man's land till I see a kiss. All right,
okay. Right. And then 3PO's got to interrupt everything and say, "I've isolated the main power flux coupler."
And they can't do that while they're being chased by Bosk, whose ship looks like garbage anyway. So like, may as well blow him up.
I know that there's no way to really integrate them into the plot, but it's almost to the point. Because it was such a big deal. Vader said, "Go find them," and they linger on each of them for enough time that it's like, well, then you just shouldn't have had them in the movie. Just have Boba Fett pop up and have him do his thing. It's kind of pointless to have them in there. I know it world builds because it's like there's more bounty hunters than just Boba Fett. I understand that.
I don't necessarily want every single frame to be like this is intrinsic to the plot. Like I'm fine with a little bit of like, flavor.
That's not what I mean. I'm just saying episode 4 and 6, those extra background aliens don't matter. So getting in a book about them is cool because it's like, well, you can care about them now because you read this. But 5 makes them seem important, but they're not. That's my issue with it.
Yeah, I think that in truth they were probably a little bit sketchy with the costumes, that they didn't have a lot of movement, particularly Dengar. Like I don't think he could move in that costume at all. And then even with when they show more of Boba Fett, like for example in Cloud City where they're moving the carbonite block into his ship, he's like, put Captain Solo in the cargo hold. Yeah, where else would you put him, right? Of course, it kind of makes sense, but there's a couple of pointless scenes where we just see a close-up shot just for aesthetics purposes, like with the sunset in the background. Like that does look cool.
Yeah, and like I said, we have the EU, so it's fine. Like I have Tales of the Bounty Hunters if I want to know why they didn't show up in the movie. But it is a fair case to be like, well, what if I don't want to read books? What if I just want to watch the movies and I have no explanation for why these guys aren't around? It doesn't matter for 4 and 6 because those guys are just living their life. They just happen to be there in the movie. They don't matter to the plot at all.
That's the drawback of not reading the expanded universe. Then you
go read the EU if you don't want to have an annoying plot hole.
Hey, all I want people to do is read the EU and not drive anywhere because I hate other drivers. But first thing is read the expanded universe.
Or if you have to drive, listen to an audiobook of an EU story.
But I'd want you to not be on the road so I can go fast. get out of the way. That's my problem.
Well,
Is that
that pulls
you're
you
in
over.
front of me. But anyway, that's all. That is a complete aside.
Yeah.
My only problem with this movie is this one goes there, that one goes there. Every time I hear that line, I want to delete the movie. I don't know why that very specific piece of filler dialogue bothers me so much. It's just that's just too cheesy. That one's.
But actually, Al, I have to clip you too now that I think about it. I'm trying to use all the leverage I can get. You just said earlier that you don't need everything in a shot of a movie to be integral to the plot. So I just want this to be kept in mind when we get to the blob races in Kevin J. Anderson's trilogy, which was completely pointless and useless. But
I like that.
everything needs to
I
be
like the
integral.
blob races.
I like the blob races. What are you talking about?
Okay.
That's what I want.
That's
Oh, you
integral.
want more of that?
plot.
Okay. Out of the whole thing of the trilogy.
So not every lead that they get of a force sensitive individual is gonna turn out to be true, right? So this is an example of how somebody could just cheat and make it look like they're force sensitive.
Yes.
There you go.
We get some blobs navigating a blobstacle course.
That's okay.
Do they call the blobstacle course? That's the most awesome name I've ever heard.
I think they do.
I love the Jedi Academy trilogy, Alex. You can't get me on that one.
Can we skip forward like 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
Just do that now.
Yeah, we can do that. But I don't know how much else, what else I have to say. There's not this movie's been talked about by everybody under the sun, which is fine.
I've got a few things.
That's why I didn't have anything really new to say.
Go, Robert.
I just want to make sure.
Robert's got a couple things.
What do you got, Robert?
One thing I did find slightly funny, the shot of Bosk's toenails poking out over the edge of the floor.
Yes. And he goes,
yes.
It's very important to me.
Also, hot take, I don't think Bosk is very interesting, regardless of the EU or not. He just kind of slithers around.
How do we boot Alex from his own stream? We got to boot Alex.
I got you guys. Hold on.
Yeah.
There we go. Robert, continue.
And again, Chewie, the scene where they go, okay, we've got to close the doors, and they do, and Chewie lets out a sad howl, and he's got his head resting against the thing, and it's an emotional moment. And
I don't mean to interrupt, but the chat, see, you're going to make Alex mad because he hates hard merchandise, but anyway, we'll get to
continue, Robert. I'm going to go away now.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Robert.
And the bit where Han's about to get frozen and Chewie reacts like someone whose best friend is about to possibly die.
So this might be kind of bringing the EU too much into things, and I think you probably just say, shut up, nerd. But I kind of like to read that scene as like Han, like officially like passing his life debt to her in case he just dies.
No, I agree.
Just like, you have to take care of her now. Like,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But,
yes. And even if Han didn't mean it like that necessarily, I think Chewbacca definitely chose to interpret it like that.
Yes.
And yeah, the bit where Han says, "Look, Chewie, this doesn't help me." And the way that
it's like an execution scene, really.
Yes,
so it's like they're gonna hang him, from
the Imperial March, like reprisal that we get, or I don't know music terms, but the Return of the Imperial March there, right at the end of the scene, where it goes really high up, and it's like dun, 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 and you see the revealed Vader's face through the smoke. Oh, it's so good.
Yes, yes. And the look on Leia's face when she when all she can look at is Han's frozen body. It's good.
What a great movie.
Mm-hmm. I just have a couple of minor things while you're thinking about that, Robert. It's always talked about in the fandom like that the Empire wins the Battle of Hoth, but really in retrospect, as I was looking at this, like this operation of once they find the rebel base on Hoth, they kind of botch it pretty badly. There's some extra scenes in the comic specifically where Vader's talking to one of the snowtroopers, and he's like, "We shot down, I think it's at 17 rebel ships." Now I don't know if he's talking about fighters or the transports that are getting away from the system, but the Star Destroyer fleet, once it identifies where the Hoth base is, it must see that its main weapon, its main defense is the ion cannon, and they don't plan for that at all. Like the first transport that gets sent out, it shoots the Star Destroyer that's in a way, and it gets past the blockade. So like the blockade is set up awful. And I think this is after Ozzel gets executed for his incompetence and coming out of Lightspeed too close to the system. So it's like once they send the walkers out, yes, they take down the shield generator, but essentially almost all of the rebels get off the system. So why not just bombard the planet earlier? Like there's just, it's not handled very well. To find out the rebel base and to catch them off guard, so to speak. I mean, before any of the transports leave, I think the Imperials should have done a better job.
I agree. I think it's a victory, but it's a very Pyrrhic victory. Because they didn't, their main objective was to defeat the rebels or whatever, but like Vader's main objective was to capture Luke, and he didn't. So like he didn't.
And he needs to hire bounty hunters to do it because he can't do it himself. Yeah,
he has to hire a bunch of bounty hunters, and only one of whom, as Alex has pointed out, was able to actually, and he didn't even find Luke. He found Han, that was what they were paid to do anyway. But
annoying Filoni fans, but they do have a point to an extent. If you are counting TCW in your brain as you're watching this, what clone did, I mean, all the clones look the same, but Anakin and Rex had like a real tight relationship, right? So it's interesting that he specifically has a weird sort of rapport with Boba Fett in this movie. Maybe it's because he's just like all the other clones, reminds him of the past. I don't know. But also another small thing that I thought was interesting with when the carbonite scene is happening, Chewie starts freaking out, and I mean, why even give a damn, right? I think it's I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Boba goes to like shoot Chewie, and Vader grabs his hand and puts it down. It's very quick.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I get it. Let him freak out for a second. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just overblowing it, but I thought it was an interesting little moment for him to allow.
I think that's a valid read. I've always interpreted that as like a calm down thing. It's like we've got this under control. Don't.
Yeah. It's almost like a Grand Admiral Thrawn scene. Like he's not perturbed at all by anything going on. He's like, I got this so under control. Like I don't even need help.
Yeah.
Something just occurred to me. In the context of the EU, Chewie reacting the way he did, you could potentially view that as him remembering being held at Star's End. And
that's a good point.
Because the way they were doing things there, the prisoners were all in stasis, and they took them out of stasis every so often to interrogate them, and then when they were done, they just put them back in. and Han is now being frozen in carbonite, which is not quite the same thing, but it's not dissimilar.
Right.
Yeah.
You could interpret it that way.
I think it's pretty much like Chewbacca thinks Han's not going to survive this operation. Like it's a
they even say
execution.
They don't know.
Right.
They don't know if he will survive.
Which
yes,
Filoni contradicted.
Yeah,
because in both the show and in those comics, Anakin does it like once or twice. So Vader should know full well.
Well, maybe it's like, okay, all right, to play devil's advocate, to steal a little bit from you, Alex. Maybe like if you have a heart condition, you kick it. You know, you shouldn't do this if you have a heart condition or pregnant or prone to.
Right, and it could just be the specifics of that particular carbon freeze operation on Cloud City. Like others might be safer. This one that Lando's got, it might have some flaws in it.
Like this is not like a method they should be using, and this is not a facility they should be using the method in. Right? It's like there's like multiple layers of like.
Vader has that line where he says something like, "These facilities are crude, but they should be adequate."
Yeah.
Fair enough. We can reconcile.
And I love the little move that he does when they signals put Han in the thing. Put him in. He's like, I like that. I like everything about this movie. There's so many stupid little details that are just burned into my brain forever.
Vader has such aura in this movie. Every little thing he does in the movie is like kills the guy in that one scene, and he goes, "Don't fail, Admiral." So on like the one hand, put the fear of God in him, but also like, I just gave you promotion. Enjoy.
Then in that, is that the same scene where he turns around and General Veers is right here? He just General Veers.
There was someone who, this was something they said in the context of Andor, but they said everyone in the Empire is afraid of the person above them, and you see that in this film. And although, to be fair, most of the time that applies to Vader.
Yes.
We also see an increase in the Force power in this film.
We see it grab
the fact that Vader can choke somebody without having to be right next to them or in the same room.
Execute his own men, yeah. But going back to what Robert was saying, like even Piet is a little bit afraid of Ozzel, like before Ozzel gets executed. Yes. Like he's very careful not to go over his superior, right? To do anything without the right permissions and protocols.
Not to speak favorably of the Empire, but I do like that Nida says, "I shall take full responsibility and apologize to Lord Vader," and then he does.
And then he is rewarded handsomely.
Yes,
that is actually. I think that's actually my favorite Vader line in the movie. I don't know why, but when Nida hits the ground and then falls, apology accepted, Captain Nida. That's just something about that specific line read just fucks me up so bad. I love it.
And Vader,
and then those two guys like clean him up off the floor like the janitor staff.
He does another wave. He does one of those, and they come get him. And it's like he's got this down to a science. I
right.
love it.
That's part of the aura. That reminds me another difference in the forget if it was in the comic or the novel, but the first rebel transport that goes out of the system that gets hit by the ion cannon, it's Captain Nida's ship, whereas in the movie I think it's Captain Lennox's ship. So that is another difference. So if you read the comic, I think it is, he actually messes up twice. He loses the Falcon, but really he loses the first rebel transport. Maybe it's the novel. I forget, but I know it's distinctively they talk. It's Captain Nida where he says rebel ships are coming into our sector, whereas it's Lennox in the film.
Good, it's the first catch of the day. It's a very weird line read too. Yeah. I was actually I for some reason had that exact clip downloaded on my phone for like a year because I was trying to explain to my friend one time the difference between Star Trek Shields and Star Wars shields. So if anybody wants to know how much of a loser I am, there you go. I just kept that on there.
Well,
so.
I do like that scene how
think-
the ion cannon works and like
Yeah.
disables the ship and just sends the Star Destroyer like into free fall. I do like that very
And they
much.
do a little like
I think
I
that
think that's
makes
the
you
music
feel
from
days
the TIE fighter chase in the first movie.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that.
I forgot about the boob guns.
They do got boob
They
guns.
shot anyway.
I think it's a well-designed weapon. I like it.
I think ion cannons are really interesting. I like that there's a difference between like something used to take out electronics and then what is actually used to damage them. I think that makes it. That was basically the argument I was having with my friend. Is like, I think this is a more interesting way to handle shields than Star Trek, which is just like, who cares?
And then as far as action figures, I do like the Rebel cannons, the like radar dishes that fire at the AT-ATs. Like that was my favorite action figure as a kid. I like the Hoth Rebel uniforms and those cannons.
I had the Lego as a kid. Because it came with like that, and then there was like a snow speeder and had Luke and Dak and like a little guy. It was really sick.
Well, I think we could go on. But
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Two more things. Both very small, but one, this brief mention we get of a bounty hunter on Ord Mantell. Or, I mean, they say Ord Mandel, but that's
I can't speak
wrong,
properly.
even if...
Okay.
I like Ord Mantell better. But that's just me.
But yeah, we're going to see that later when we get to classic Star Wars.
That's our next episode, I think. Yep.
So,
and also, I like when Han's talking to General Riken.
Riken,
yeah. And he has that line where he says, "I understand. Death mark's not an easy thing to live with." I like the I like the implication there that he has some sort of personal experience with that we don't know about.
I mean, it probably is just like he's a known rebel figure.
Yeah.
That, but I do think that's a really cold line reading. I like that. I think he shows up a couple of times later, right?
Who, General Riken?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the most annoying character in Rogue Squadron. It's like any ship or item you're supposed to be protecting that's getting shot at by the Imperials and you're not protecting it, Riken just screams at you throughout the whole video game. But yeah, the thing about Han and him being on Echo Base there, like this is supposed to be a top secret base for the rebels. Like nobody knows they're there. They get their supplies flown in by Renegade Squadron, which gets destroyed at Dara 4, but Han is kind of on his own, and like it's not a stretch to know that like he'd be on and off the planet at will, but like he could drag, like some bounty hunter could follow him back unbeknownst to the rebels or whatever, and he doesn't want to put the rebels in danger, not necessarily. So it's good on him that he would go and take care of his bounty before he would endanger the rest of the rebels there.
Yeah, I think that shows some character development from the first movie. Like this, he's not really doing this so much for him as like this is endangering everybody around me. He's still doing it for him, but also like
I can't live my life with this hanging over my shoulder. So yeah.
You know, because I could easily see an alternate version of the movie where, let's say, the bounty hunters did find Hoth, and that's what started the story. Like
Mm-hmm.
So, Battle of Hoth. I played that level, I don't know how many times as a child on the Nintendo 64 version of Shadows of the Empire.
Me too.
It's yes. And oh yeah, another thing. One criticism I've heard of the Disney Plus series is how the costumes look like, well, the characters cosplaying as themselves. Essentially, they're not really believably things that these characters just wear every day. They're just immaculate all the time. They don't get any dirt on them or anything. They don't go through any sort of wear and tear. Whereas in this film, I mean, on Dagobah, Luke sits down, gets up, he's covered in mud. He's
all dirty. Same with R2, like he falls in the water, right? So both his flight suit and then his like Jedi training uniform get dirty. Also, like in the Falcon, like when they're working on repairing the hyperdrive or whatever, Leia's uniform gets dirty, and then
she even has lines. My hands are dirty. My hands are dirty too.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of which. One thing I failed to mention about Lando. Lando's very well dressed here. Not just his cape, like not just as distinguished he is, but like his shirt seems like something you'd wear on a nice evening out, right? He's not just wearing the regular Han Solo like smuggler's clothes. He looks like he's well put together.
Yeah, and when Luke is hanging from the antenna on the underside of Cloud City, which I love that the thing closes and he's got no way out. He's hanging on to a thing that, according to the comic, is actively giving way under his weight, and he's minus a hand, and he's having to rely on just his left hand, and it's probably cold down there, and the air probably isn't terribly breathable. But his clothing is a bit tattered. It's
ripped and torn.
Yeah,
he looks like he got punched in the face. He's got like 2 black eyes and really beat up. Yeah.
And the only thing that isn't hurt is his sleeve somehow.
Right, exactly. I don't know. I don't like the way his hands cut off. But
when Lando grabs him, and then you see him aboard the Falcon, he looks rough.
He looks like sweaty, and like he's just like covered in like marks and burns. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
he don't look good. I mean, he looked good in that. The makeup looks good, but he don't look good in terms of like he looks like he's about to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good aesthetics. I like the whole scene, the backdrop, the clouds, the sunset, like that whole scene.
I have very few criticisms of this movie, almost none. The one joke criticism, of course, but like in terms of serious problems I have with the movie, I struggle to come up with one.
It's a well-crafted, constructed film.
The scene where Luke gets the new hand, and they're poking the individual fingers, and you see the I don't know what to call them, the innards in his wrist move as the fingers move.
That's the sci-fi aspect of Star Wars, which is almost non-existent. You get Lobot and you get that scene where he gets a new hand, but that's it.
But I think we could cover more, but we covered a good portion of this movie, and we somehow lasted way longer than I expected to, which is fine. But we did it. We did another movie length discussion. You could watch this after watching the movie as a companion piece at this point. But yeah, I mean, what else can we say? I mean, episode 5 is kind of it's a masterpiece. I don't think there's much else to say there. It's remembered to this day. It is a large portion of the fan base's favorite film.
Might be the majority.
I think it's objectively the best film. Not my personal favorite, but I would not begrudge you or be like, you're dumb. If you said this, I totally get it. totally understand why. Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys, and talking about the best Star Wars film.
Yeah, thanks to the chat. Thanks to all the comments you guys have been given, and leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you think about The Empire Strikes Back. Your favorite scenes.
Tell us your ranking of the movie.
Right.
If you
Tell us your ranking of the movies. I'm looking forward personally to moving on to. I think we have comics. We have a Lando trilogy coming up in the works down the road, but a lot of good comics coming up.
A lot of good comics that we could have some bite to them, and that we can
that have implication, long-reaching out into like the Legacy of the Force era with Shira Bree and such. So,
and great point. They are good. They are good comics, which.
So we look forward to discussing that. That's partially the way I originally had set this up with Brennan. We would not have been here. We would have been here maybe April or May of this year, but we all kind of agreed that we needed to escape this in-between era of episode 4 and 5 if we were going to not burn out and also just have discussions that would have been more fruitful. So hopefully that could be the case moving forward. And
we lost Alex. But it's a good time to lose him because I think
guys keep showing up.
Yep, I think we're about to be done. And Alex, good seeing you. Good seeing everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
you're back.
All right.
You can sign off, Alex.
All right. I was just saying, thankful for the whole group here. I mean, we're all here because we love Star Wars, but we also want to burn out, and but thank you everyone for watching. Thank you guys for always coming on and watching, and thank you Scott, thank you Al, thank you Robert for always consistently being here. You guys are the best, and you could spend your 3 hours of your life doing something way more fruitful and productive, but you spend time with this silly guy, so I appreciate it.
I can do any day, my
man.
Here's 2026, boys.
2026, lots of good stuff coming up in terms of the EU. So hope you all will stick around for that. Until then, live long and prosper to steal from the other franchise. Bye-bye.